members, what it be?
Hey-o!
Hi. Why are y'all so fucking excited every time we do this? Like, chill out, just say hi.
Because we enjoy what we do.
Well, I mean,
I've been doing the same thing for 20 months now or some shit. Like I'm not gonna stop now.
Just round up and say 2 years.
We're not at 2 years yet.
Right.
I used to have my different intro. I used to have the, what it do, baby?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Andy switched it up.
Yeah.
Fair.
But, bros, we're gonna get a little evil today, bro. A little evil today. We do all these heroes and villains episodes. I believe, did we have a episode based around heroes or did we not?
Well, we'll have to go back
actually,
and look.
we never have.
Because if not,
then,
that's coming.
I don't
Absolutely.
think we have.
I like
Boy,
it.
howdy. Because today is all about the villain.
The baddies.
They don't get the baddies. They don't get enough
The
credit, I
evildoer.
don't think. They don't get enough love. So we're gonna show them some love. We have our top 5, each of our individual top 5 best villains. A little bit about them, some of our favorite moments with them, and then we're gonna go with some of what we found on the internet as what seems to be the overall ranks from some places for what they think should be the top villains of all time. But we're going to start with ours. Without further ado, we're going to let Anthony start this thing off because he has been foaming at the mouth for this, just ready to go.
When I found out about the notes for this thing, I literally had my villains done in like a day. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I know who I'm going to do, and I'm also pretty sure I've been waiting for something like this. So I'm going to kick it off. This is my number 5. It's going to be Joseph Seed from Far Cry 5.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good one, right?
That's a good one. I didn't
So
think
I'm going to
of that.
give you a little bit of his background. Again, most of the stuff that I found for all of my characters is referenced through fandom. You know what I mean?
Oh, they got great stuff.
Exactly. They have great people that post these articles and post up information and stuff like that. So if you have any other information you want to look up about the characters that we go through, fandom is always a fantastic website to use. So here we are. Joseph Seed, also known as the Father, is a ruthless megalomaniac who is the founder and leader of the Hope County-based extremist religious terrorist cult organization Project at Eden's Gate. Alongside his brothers and adoptive sister, who he dubs the Heralds, Jacob John and Faith Seed. As a young man, Joseph squatted in an old packing plant in his hometown as he searched for his brothers, working as a bellhop in the meantime. During this time, he would also become deeply interested in religion, in an attempt to understand the voice. Later, he would move to Atlanta in search for John and found work as a garbage collector. In many of his jobs, he was fired for talking about the voice. Later on, he took the position as a caretaker in a psychiatric hospital. One night, as he went to the hospital for the late shift, he was mugged by 3 men, and it was then the voice contacted him for the final time. The voice gave him a vision of the apocalypse and the punishment that would be inflicted upon the world. So that's a little bit of his background.
Hell yeah.
I'd have to say, and I don't have this written down because at the time I didn't really think about my favorite interaction with him, but believe it or not, my favorite interaction with him is when you go there with the sheriff and the deputy.
I was just
in the
about
very
to say
in the
that.
very beginning.
So yeah,
It's like your first introduction to him.
It's
really.
your
Yeah.
first introduction
Terrifying.
to him.
Yeah, he's so
And
cool.
absolutely, when he starts to talk, you're drawn into when he starts speaking,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh
yeah.
my god. Not only did Ubisoft do an amazing job with the graphics of this game, but
Yeah.
the voice actors, and the
writing.
like you could the writing, and you can tell this dude was a psychopath the second he started talking, and it was like,
Yep.
oh my god, this is going to be a great game if this is the main baddie, because what the fuck. And on top of that, like I said, that my honorable mentions just for Far Cry 5 were the Seed family, period.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They were all fucking sadistic in their own way.
Yeah.
And the way
Yeah.
that you had to play through their missions when you were trying to take them down or whatever, it's just the Joseph Seed was crazy, and the Seed family themselves is just like mental. So that's my number 5. Yeah,
That's good. And you got
That's a great number 5.
like real world comparison. Like you got real like Jim Jones vibes from this dude.
So here's the
Like
thing.
like he could just gather
Waco,
people with his
that Waco type feel.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you. Out of my top 5, 3 out of my top 5 are people you could potentially see in a real world. Plain and
That's not
simple.
terrifying.
No,
That's
but
not terrifying
the thing
at
is,
all.
but the thing is that's why I picked them. They seem more realistic, right?
Yeah.
For me anyway, when you get in touch with villains like that, there's that feel of, oh my god, this could be real. This shit has happened or can happen on the outside.
I was about to say, like, it does.
And that's the thing.
And then, like, outside of Montana, you know what I mean? Just such a vast state that has, like, almost nobody there. Like, you could easily see this happening there.
Exactly. And the thing is, it draws you in more to the game, especially when you have villains that are almost real world style villains. It's just crazy.
Yeah, dude, that's, like,
That's a good one.
Yeah, dude, with yours, I'm like that. Like I said, like Waco, like Ruby Ridge. You know what I mean? Like that whole type of feel.
Dude,
Give me that whole situation, dude.
Crazy
it's nuts.
stuff.
All right, let me go ahead and kick my number 5. My number 5 is the father from Fallout 4.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay.
I didn't even really think of that.
Wait,
I didn't really think of that.
That's 2
smart.
of the fathers back to back.
Yeah. Oh, damn! I didn't even think about that.
Oh, you know, damn right well those two can hang out.
Bet. Yeah, 100%.
It's funny. I don't see it like that though. Like, all right, so just to break it down, the father was the sole survivor of the and the leader of a group called the Institute in Fallout 4. The game is based way in the future in 2287, and as with most Fallout games, you have a choice of either joining a side or fighting against a side, and you did have a choice to go ahead and actually be with him. And one of the biggest proponents of having you do that is, I mean, spoiler for a game that's probably like 8 years old or something, he's your son.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
I remember when that shit happened. I was fucking floored. I was like, oh my god!
It's like, what is this? And that was the first game, to my recollection, in the Fallout franchise where it was more than just 2, like, potential endings. I think there was 4, because I did all of them.
Yeah.
I think you're right,
And,
yeah.
like, that was wild. But, yeah, continue, please.
Yeah, so with knowing that, all right, so I'm just gonna call him Sean because that is his given name. Everybody in the Institute calls him father, but his actual name is Sean. So when it comes down to quote unquote abilities, I mean, within a Fallout game, you kind of always see this coming. But I mean, he has a genius level intellect, insane oral skills, charisma, manipulation, weapons, and synths at his disposal. Don't forget about the synths. You know what I mean, dude? They were everywhere.
I hate those.
Technological resources, a vast knowledge of different scientific fields, and then control over the Institute and the Commonwealth. So, look, man, he was, like I said, you had a choice to be with him or against him. I never chose to play, you know what I mean, to actually join his side. You said you played multiple times, Andy, so...
Correct.
Do you remember how that ending worked? I mean, when you...
Unfortunately, no, it was so long ago. It was so long ago. Yeah, there's again, like you said, spoiler alert. I don't remember which one's which, and maybe this is that one, but there was an ending where you power up Liberty Prime again, and I don't remember if that's what destroys everything. I don't quite remember if that was that one. But I know there was an ending with Liberty Prime. But like I said, I don't know if it was that one. But
now, one of the reasons why I picked Fallout 4 is because, it's from Bethesda proper. Number one, because in between 3 and 4 there was New Vegas, which was a great game. I was debating on putting Caesar in here or not, but I didn't. But like Fallout 4 was one of the first Fallout games from Bethesda proper that I actually followed the entire way to launch. You know what I mean? Because there were big speculations about where the game was going to be based in, because they knew it was going to be on the East Coast. It was all dependent on where.
We had thought Philly for a while.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that.
Yeah, because Philadelphia would have been a great location. Still can be Bethesda. Just saying.
Yeah.
But
and then we're like, God, Boston wins everything.
I know, yeah. But running with Piper and Valentine, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
The game was just phenomenal. And then going
great.
ahead and like Anthony said, when you actually find out that he's your son, you're
Lord.
like, oh fuck.
Like,
Lord.
that's a twist nobody saw coming.
Yeah, it was actually fantastic.
No, I mean, especially since he's
So
like
good.
40, 50 years older than your current state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's been out there for 60 years or 70 years.
So good.
So, Yeah, but I don't have him on any particular list that I saw for for villains. But yeah, Father is my number 5 from Fallout 4.
Hell yeah, that is a good pick, man.
Sweet. That is a
Thanks.
good
Solid
one.
pick.
That is a good one.
What about you,
Now,
Andy?
my number 5, I'm going to have a little shameless plug in here because I'm not going to give all too much information, but my number 5 is Sigma from the Mega Man franchise. Now, I'm not going to give too much info because we actually did Heroes and Villains and we did Mega Man. So there's a bunch of information on Sigma, so I'll just be very, very brief. Sigma was once the noble leader of the Maverick Hunters, who eventually fell into insanity, turned Maverick himself, becoming the leader of an all-haywire Reploids group and waging war on humanity. He's just one of those villains that doesn't die. You see him once, you see him 10 times, and but the battle at the end of Mega Man X, which is really when I love the Mega Man games, but when they started the X franchise is really when it took off and when it took off for me. And I actually credit a lot of those games to why I have in certain games, like the quick abilities that I have with my fingers to do things quick is because of those Mega Man X games, because you had to do so much at once. You had to worry about, dodging things and jumping while you're shooting, while you're so I credit a lot to that. But the first battle that you have with Sigma, because it's the first time you ever actually see him, is it's terrifying because you're fighting all of these normal looking, well, not normal looking, but you're fighting all these robots, and then you see this dude who they call it a beam sword. That's fine. It's a lightsaber. The dude's got a fucking lightsaber as soon as you see him, and I don't know anybody
Copyright issues.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that beat him the first time in like one shot, so you do get to see just how powerful this dude is because from the jump, he just dashes at you with this beam sword, and I'm pretty sure one hit almost takes half your health away. It's ridiculous. And in true, I'm not necessarily going to just say true, Nintendo form, but in true like early or, mid 90s form, just, when you fight him and you beat him the first time, of course, there's a second phase that you face him in afterwards because, the first one wasn't hard enough. And the second phase is really when you get to see his true power and just what your fucking fingers are made of, because he turns into this big-ass robot with 2 hands. He's got 2 hands that shoot lightning. He's got a mouth that shoots fire. And you can only hit a specific part of his head to be able to take health down. So you have to, ride his hands up, dodge the lightning, shoot his head, watch all this other shit. It makes you do a whole bunch of stuff at once. But there is a lot more information on his backstory, but I would love it if you guys would just dive back into our huge Rolodex of episodes that we have here. I forget which one it is. I think it was Heroes and Villains 2?
Might have been 2.
I believe it may have been 2. And we go deep. We go deep on that, and there's a lot of information on Sigma there, but that's my number 5.
So, fun fact, if you've actually ever played any of the new Marvel vs. Capcom, like if you played Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite,
he's there.
So the main bad guy is Ultron, and actually Ultron and Sigma fused to become Ultron
Sigma. Yep.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing those toys.
We talked about that in the Heroes and Villains episode.
Oh, okay, so yeah, I wasn't part of that. Remember, I was
Anyway, and here you go. Hold on a second, real quick. That Heroes and Villains episode, it is episode 7 of season 2.
Okay.
If you want to look for it, it came out February 17th, 2020.
There you go. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
We're
back
along.
We back
at number 4.
This is my number 4. It is going to be Lucien Fairfax from Fable 2.
Ooh, some bitch.
I knew one of you guys was going to have a Fable one in here somewhere.
Like I said, I'm pretty stoked about my choices for my top 5 because
this whole Fable trilogy is like something Wes don't know, but he needs to know.
Right. So I didn't get too in depth with Lucien, and I don't really have a favorite with him. Except for the final battle. But anyway, according to the books found in Fable 2, Lucien was a member of the wealthy and much beloved Fairfax family. But with a long history of mental instability, Lucian's grandmother, Lady Ingrid Fairfax, was supposedly insane and kept in the attic by her family. The Fairfax family denied this, of course, saying she died giving birth to Lucian's father. Lucian witnessed the death of his sister Ellie at a very young age and left him with a sense of powerlessness. And that's pretty much all I got into for his backstory. There wasn't actually a lot of information on the website for him, so that's kind of what I pulled that I thought was important for his backstory to know a little bit about the way he is if you've played the game. Like I said, I didn't really have too much of a favor with him. The reason I chose him is because Fable 2 is legit one of my favorite games I think I've ever played. And it's one of the games I don't think we talk much about.
We don't. Well,
They
been
are
so
older
long.
games, and it's been so long, and it's just kind of just like a reminder, I guess, to some of the people that if they haven't played it and you have Xbox, then I'm pretty sure that they're on the what is it, Wes?
Game Pass.
The Game Pass, and I'm pretty
They
sure all
absolutely
three
are.
of them are there.
All three.
So check them out. Play those three. Play them in order because they're absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And with the with the league and with the information that there's another Fable game coming, now's as great a time as any to get familiar if you're not already.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's my number 4. That was kind of short, little
It's 5. That's a good one.
underwhelming, but that I got some other bangers coming on the way. So go ahead, Wes. What do you got?
Go. So my number 4 is T00, also known as the Tyrant, also known as Mr. X.
Oh, what a wow!
I think Andy's more excited about what he's hearing than
I know, right?
I feel
so
like he's
good.
I feel like he's also thinking about his list. Like, wow, these guys did really good.
Why didn't I put that there? Yeah.
These guys did really good.
Dude,
with
there's
their
gonna
choices
be
so
there's
far.
gonna be 15 that could be on this list. More than
Okay.
that, 30, 40.
So to
Alright,
break
that's
down Mr. X a little bit, he actually is considered a secondary antagonist in the game, but he's the primary for Leon. And because, as everybody knows, if they did watch my Freaky Fridays playing the Resident Evil 2 remake, I did run as Leon.
It was so good.
It
That was one
so
of my
much
favorite
fun.
things to ever watch. Was you doing that? That's why I wish you moved on to the next one.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, when it comes down to Mr. X, like his big thing is the fact that dude, he is super strong. He's basically impervious. You know what I mean? At least in his cloak stage. You know what I mean? When he's wearing the black trench coat.
Yeah.
When he gets into that mutated stage, you have a little bit of a better chance of taking him out. Yeah, dude. Honestly, okay. So we talked about when you first your best battle, your first time. The very first time I saw him was one of the biggest things that scared the fuck out of me, because we're playing, and once again, this was on stream. So I'm playing, and I'm about to try to figure out how to get past this helicopter that is in my way, and then I see it move, and I'm like, "What happened?" And then it gets lifted, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?" Because Andy is sitting there going, "Ooh, here it comes, here it comes." Like, Andy's feeling like giddy like a schoolgirl for this shit. So the first thing I do is I run, and then I shoot him, and I shoot his hat off his head. Apparently you get an accomplishment for that. I didn't know that achievement. But
You had the correct response. You looked right at him and went, "What the fuck is that?" Nope, and turned around, which I feel is like a real world response to a situation like that. You see something that big, you're just like, "Nope, other way."
now it's funny because that's not actually the first time you technically see him. The first time you see him is when he crushes the head of the reporter in the prison, down in the basement.
You don't actually see him.
No,
though.
you don't see him, but what you see is his hands come through and then rip the dude's head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that shit was wild. And then the final battle, which I actually have on my Twitch set up as one of my favorites so that people can go ahead and watch again. That
So
final
epic.
battle was so good, dude.
It was so epic.
All right, so I threw it in here in my notes somewhere. Yeah, Magnum pistol and rocket launchers are fantastic in that battle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's so, like, you have to be so perfect in everything you do there because you don't have a lot of room to move.
Yeah, you have next to no room.
And there are, and I told you this after, and you were like, oh, shit, is that, like, there's an attack that if you don't, like, shoot him right beforehand, you will die immediately. It's a one-hit kill. And then you got to start the whole thing over again. But you killed that, bro. You killed that, and it was epic.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mr. Mr. X is my number 2.
Your number 4?
My number. Jesus Christ. Yeah, my number 4. But look, I know he has to be on a list somewhere. I mean, he'll probably be on the Games Radar list that we're going to go through later on.
Maybe.
But as of right now, I didn't find him on any particular list. But yeah, the Tyrant, TOO, Mr. X.
Mr. X. And boy, does he make that whole entire game
See, that was
like
the fucking,
so much
that was
more
the
anxiety
twisted part
filled
about
because
it. The most twisted part about it is the fact that you hear him everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. You always hear him.
Yeah, and then, yep.
You're always circling around trying to find it. Cause there was that one spot in the where like all the computer stuff was. You know what I mean? When I was in like the sub basement,
Yeah.
where like I dipped and dodged him, and then because I was playing as Ada, I think at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I had to turn a fan off in order to be able to run through it. Oh man, that was yeah.
That was so much.
Dude, that game was great. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
So what's your number 4?
My number 4, and man, it's tough for me to have this man so low because he could be higher, but my number 4 is Vos. Vos Montenegro. I knew one of us was going to say that. I just didn't know at which point, if you were going to get to it before me or what. But maybe you'll have information that I don't. But Vos Montenegro, the antagonist and overall sadistic, evil, bad motherfucker from Far Cry 3, played by Michael Mando. So a little bit about Vos. He was born in 1985 on the Rook Islands, and from a young age,
everything I've got.
Yeah, dog. He's a member of the native Rakyat tribe. He's particularly close to his sister Citra, who mentions that his first kill was for her. And sometime before 2012, he became addicted to drugs brought to the islands by deranged slave and drug trafficker Hoyt Volker. Vos was eventually established contact with Volker, who found potential in him and promoted him to his right-hand man. Vos then went on to become leader of the Pirates, a faction consisting of pirates that came to the Rook Islands to rape, pillage, steal, and murder. Now, you play the game as Jason. I think his last name is Brody. Is it Brody?
Jason Brody, and
Jason Brody.
He had his brother Grant Brody.
Yeah, so you play as Jason.
If that ain't a hoity-toity fucking name.
Yeah, right. So during you're in your friend's trip in Bangkok, you hear about an island where you can do anything from Doug, the nightclub DJ, who's also a spotter for Vos, which is fucked up, but like this is how it works in the real world. Like when people get addicted and sold into trafficking and stuff like that. Like just watch the movie Taken. That's what the whole movie is. Like you get spotters that pick these people up at the airport and there you go.
Yeah, except they don't expect a father to have fucking weapons. Government and weapons to fucking destroy them.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, so you get this information and you decide to do a blind skydive over the Rook Islands. After landing, you're soon captured by Vos and his pirates. While Jason and his older brother Grant are tied up, Vos explains how he's going to ransom them for large amounts of money from their parents, and it's revealed later that even after receiving the ransom money, Vos would sell them all as slaves for increased profit. Now, he's a sick motherfucker. My favorite moment of his, and this just shows you how sick he is and how, how much of an effect it probably is. How much of an effect he has on this game is that he's only the main antagonist for the first half of the game. It doesn't even go all the way through because his sister ends up being, in the second half. So like,
correct.
But my favorite moment of his was where I'm waiting for it. I know Anthony's going to curse here possibly. Hopefully not. You get captured at one point, and you're sitting on top of this giant-ass cliff, and your hands are tied up, and your feet are attached to a cinder block. And Vos is giving this speech where is this yours, Anthony?
I'm just going to keep listening. Go ahead.
Okay, it's where Vos is talking to you, and it's where you get a real sense of how crazy this guy is, because he's got this like inner monologue going on, but he's telling you about what the definition of insanity is. You're sitting up on top of this cliff, and he's talking about how, the definition of insanity is doing things over and over and over and expecting a different result. And he's like, and he says something at one point in this inner monologue where he's just like, yeah, someone told me this, and I didn't understand it, so boom, shot him in the head. And I was like, oh my God, like this dude is nuts. And then at the very end of this speech, because he had tried so many different ways, to kill you or whatever, at the very end, he says it again. He said, by the way, did I tell you what the definition of insanity is? And then he just pushes you off this cliff with your feet attached to this damn cinder block and your hands bound up, and you go into this water, and the whole time you're going down, you're just screaming, "Fuck you!" Like, but it's crazy because the first thing he did was tell you his definition of insanity, and then he goes on this long rant that just shows you just how psychotic this dude is. And then at the very end, it's like he forgets. It's like, "Oh, did I tell you the definition of insanity?" And then just pushes you off this fucking thing.
I'm glad
I have
two favorites.
It is by far my favorite moment of his in there.
Yeah, I have that down. That entire the entire thing you just did for Vos Montenegro is exactly what I have. I have a different favorite that I have under it that has 2 stars next to it just in case. And boy, just in case is coming up.
Well, we'll wait till we get to where he is for you. I will talk about now. He was actually not Michael Mando, the guy that played him, was nominated for a New York Video Game Critics Circle Award for Best Overall Acting. He was nominated for Outstanding Character Performance in the 16th Annual DICE Awards, and also nominated for Lead Performance in a Drama at the National Academy of Video Game Trade Reviewers Awards.
Nice.
And also he won Best New Character at the 4th Canadian Video Game Awards.
That's
shit.
That's
awesome.
and like I said, for someone who wasn't even there for the whole game. Like, he wasn't the main person you were going after. It was just the first half. So that shows you the lasting effect that he had and how much people, like, the way they made him and the character design and the voice actor they chose and the writing, like, made you hate him immediately. And that's what you want. But that's my number 4, Vos Montenegro.
All right, Ant, number 3.
My number 3 is Handsome Jack.
Damn good
This is
choice.
where Wes goes, "Fuck!"
Well, I actually texted
Wes.
Wes. I texted Wes. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, though. Wes is definitely going to have more information on it than I do. So I'm not even going to get into my favorite either, just because I'd like Wes to be able to take this one and run with it big time.
Wait. Wes likes Borderlands?
No, I hate it.
Not at all.
Hate it.
But anyway, little background information. This is just something I pulled really quick. Jack's father died when he was young, and his mother left him in the care of her mother, Jack's grandmother. Who was physically abusive towards her grandson. The emotional trauma from these events was strong enough that, as an adult, Jack had his grandmother murdered, and no doubt contributed towards his mental decline. I'd have to say, I'll just read really quick what my favorite thing was.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was basically, this is not my favorite, but this is just one of the things that I really remembered about him.
I wonder if it's what I would say.
It's literally having his daughter locked up the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, you love your
Angel.
daughter, but you have Angel locked up as a fucking
A conduit.
It's like an energy source, yeah.
Yeah,
Conduit,
pretty much like your own fucking energy source. And you pretty much, her demise is death, because you basically, did what you did. She dies, and then you take the other siren.
Yeah, think about this. Think about this. And again, we'll let Wes touch on this more later, but when you come across a lot of these crazy villains in movies and in games and stuff like that, the one area where they start to look a little human is when it comes to their family and stuff like that, their kids. That is not the case here.
Yeah, normally you would see that.
This like
That's the
turns
thing, like,
that
okay, so
completely around.
So what you normally see with a villain that makes you love a villain so much is the fact that you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. Like
Killmonger.
Killmonger, Thanos, and even Vulture. You know what I mean? Just talking MCU. Like, you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. You might not agree with it, but you can go, okay.
I can wrap my head around why they're doing this.
I get it. With Jack, there is nothing.
No.
But at the same time, he is still, at least to me, one of the greatest villains of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, so my number 3 is actually from, I believe, the very first game that I started streaming. If my memory serves correct, at least. And it is from Star Wars Jedi, The Fallen Order, and it is The Second Sister.
Oh, you bitch. That's another good one. There's so many games. Fuck. Go ahead.
So,
another game that Anthony, you really need to play.
Anthony, this one is amazing, dude. This game is so much fun.
Anthony has played it. I have your copy still, Andy.
Oh, did you finish it? Or
no, I didn't.
He played like
it.
8 minutes in Jordan.
No, I played more than that. Yeah, because then after that you were like, hey, wait, can you get Chell out there? And I was like, yeah. And then that's all we did. That's all we fucking did.
All right,
Go ahead,
so the second sister is formerly known as Trilla Suduri, and she is what is called a force-sensitive human, and she becomes an inquisitor for the Galactic Empire. Now, what they did at one point was like the Sith, they would find these young Padawans, and they would force them to the dark side to go ahead and work for them, and that's essentially what they did with the second sister. She went through an insane amount of torture and just internal, just absolute insanity to go ahead and actually just become this force for evil. And every single thing she did was to go ahead and just get the praise and accolades from Emperor Palpatine, who is obviously the Sith Lord.
Darth Sidious, yeah.
Yeah. So she was a Jedi Knight who she's being trained by Seer Junda, who is who is somebody that you go ahead and work with in the game. And all this happens in the aftermath of the Clone Wars. This is after I think it was like Order 66, I believe is what it was called.
To
eliminate
the Jedi.
Eliminate the Jedi, kill all the younglings. Like, so in the last of the second trilogy, so episode 3. Such a weird way to explain this shit, but
yeah, it's how they did it. It's what we got to work with.
But at the end of at the end of episode 3, they were Anakin went in and killed all the younglings because that way the Jedi Order cannot continue. And if you kill the Jedi Order, then once the rest of the Jedis die, then there is no more to go up against the the dark forces. And that's essentially what they were trying to work with here. So my favorite, when it comes down to her, is that final battle. You face her 3 times. You face Second Sister 3 times in the game, but you
need to keep part of that final battle secret.
Yes,
you know what part I'm talking about.
Yeah. Nah, so when you fight against her, like, dude, it is like you truly feel like a Jedi. You honestly feel like a Jedi. Like, this is one of those games that you have to parry at the perfect time, and you have to have the right patience to go ahead and actually hit these right moves and do the right thing, because if you try to use the wrong force move on her, it's going to do nothing and she's going to break through it. So you really need to focus in that, because I died probably 6 times, 7 times in that one stream.
Yeah, she's tough because she's one of those. It's one of those battles where once you make one wrong move, it's so tough to recover.
Yes. Because
then you start getting in defense mode and have to try to figure out a way to block her chain of attacks and stuff. It's tough.
Yeah. So, and like I said, that was one of those. I'm almost guaranteed that was the first game I actually started streaming. Back before I even had a capture card. That was just straight off the Xbox, going to straight to Switch. So
the wife and I watched that for multiple hours, and it was so much fun.
It was I hold that game in very high regard. It is a fantastic story that is really in depth. I'm pretty sure that there is DLC out for it already, right? Or at least that's coming soon.
I'm not sure. We'll look at it.
Fallen Order. Yeah, we gotta look that up. But yeah, man, Second Sister is easily my number 3.
I like it. Scoop? I like it. So my number 3 comes straight out of my second favorite game franchise of all time, and that's Resident Evil and Albert Wesker.
Nice,
Albert Wesker.
Good pick.
Yeah, woo, you're right. Woo, boy. Woo, babe. Me? I told you, it's sympathy pain.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got history with this guy. So Albert Wesker, who was initially introduced as a supporting character in the first game, has been one of the primary antagonists throughout the series, where he usually manipulates story events behind the scenes. Power-hungry, knowledgeable, sadistic, and infinitely cunning, he was a man who sought to replace mankind through a mass extinction and forced evolution because he believed humanity to be an evolutionary dead end. So when you get introduced, right? When you get introduced to him, he's undercover as a member of STARS, and then you go on to find out that he's actually with Umbrella, who this is another one where you can look back to heroes and villains, because we did Resident Evil, right? And we had Albert Wesker.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, you did him, right? Or no? I forget which one of us did him.
No, Wes did.
Wesker? No, Wesker wasn't mine.
I think Wesker was yours, dude.
Mine?
No, he did. No, I think he did Chris. I might have done Wesker.
Yeah, you did.
Actually, I did. But
Fuck.
Okay, yeah. So real quick, that was episode 42 of season 2, and that one debuted October 12th of 2020.
yeah.
There you
So
go.
check that out. Again, we go way more in depth than I just went. But
It's an hour-long
he's-
episode, yeah.
he is put it this way, if you I'm just going to try to remember some of it, but if you go back to that episode, you will hear about like how many like just how many different areas he's prolific in. And it is a ridiculous list. He's got like he's super powerful and it's a freaking scientist, and I wish I could remember all of the things that they said about him. But anyway, let's just get right into my favorite moment. Have either of you played Resident Evil 5?
I don't think so, actually.
Resident Evil 5, it's when I think that's the one where you play as Chris and Shiva, but I'm not sure. But anyway, it's not even a situation that you play through. You see this it's like a flashback that Chris is having of a run-in with Wesker, and you can't tell if this is Albert Wesker or if this is Neo from The Matrix. It is unreal. Every bullet they shoot at this dude, he just morphs and moves out of the way.
I have seen that before, yeah.
Beats the shit out of them without even trying. Just literally lifting up one hand, throwing people around, doing nothing. And then they start shooting again. He like jumps in the air and spins around just like that scene in The Matrix where he's dodging bullets. And it is just like, that's one of the moments where you really see like, okay, this dude is really about that shit. Because when you get introduced him into the first Resident Evil, you don't fight him. You just understand, what he's doing. The second and third, there's nothing there. So it's really the first time that you get to see, what this dude's made of, and he doesn't disappoint. Let's just put it that way. He does not disappoint. But yeah, that's my. Did I have anything else on this guy? I don't think I did.
All right, then I'm taking over.
Oh
for
yes.
my
Oh,
number
I'm
two.
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mother.
No, I'm sorry. No, I forgot. He has. I don't know how I could. Yeah, I don't know how I could do this. His because there's some accolades that come around with this guy. In 2006, IGN had him ranked as the number 3 most memorable villain of all time.
Oh, I can get behind that.
Makes sense.
In 2008, GamePro ranked him as the 40th most diabolical villain of all time, and then IGN again in 2010 ranked him as the 14th best overall video game villain. And, numbers like 40 and 14 don't sound all that crazy until you realize just how many games and just how many villains are out there.
True.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my number 3, Albert Wesker.
All right, here's my number 2, and I'm really excited. It's actually General Shepard from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Nice.
And he looks confused. I'll get into it. You'll hear about the favorite.
Wait, what did you say?
General Shepard, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Okay, like my brain got messed up for a second, and I heard Shepard, and I
he's
thought
thinking Mass Effect.
I thought Commander Shepard. I'm like,
No,
I was like, I'm the hero, motherfucker. What you doing?
Yeah, so actually General Shepard is actually the secondary antagonist in this game. He's not the primary. But definitely one of my favorites because he's fucking sick. Anyway, Lieutenant General Herschel von Shepard III, also known as General Shepard, was a corrupt U.S. Army officer in charge of the Task Force 141 and the founding leader of the Shadow Company, who, after losing 30,000 of his Marines to Vladimir Makarov, who is actually the primary antagonist in the game, secretly sought to restore the country's reputation as the world's greatest military force and become recognized as a war hero, while betraying and killing anybody who stood in his way. Now, I think we have all played this game. The three of us,
Yep.
I'll say. I can't speak for the
Yep.
audience, but the three of us have all played this game.
Yep.
On top of that, I know that this is my favorite part, but I'm pretty sure we're all going to remember it. It's the end of the game. You see, not the end of the game. Well, yeah, the end of the game. You see General Shepard walk off of the helicopter. As he's walking off the helicopter, he basically starts attacking Soap McTavish. And he reveals to Soap McTavish the events in the past before attempting to execute him. Price, do you remember Price?
Think so.
Vaguely.
The guy with the mustache who talks.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got you.
good.
I got you.
Price jumps in and actually kind of saved Soap. Leading up to that, Soap was actually stabbed directly through the chest with this fucking like massive knife.
I think I remember this now.
Shepard was like on top of Price, pummeling him, beating him, and basically the objective of the game was to kill General Price at the end. In doing so, you are Soap McTavish on the ground, bleeding out. You pull the knife directly out of your chest. As you do so, you have to aim. Basically, you're aiming down the sights with what would be the knife, and you fucking just chuck it, fucking Rambo style, at General Shepard's head, thus landing in his left eye, killing him.
Yeah, I remember that. Now.
So good. So good. So good. One of my favorite fucking endings to a game.
I got
Super sad that it happened to Soap, but he didn't die, so that's a good thing. But that's my number 2. General Shepard.
Nice.
Again,
Good pick.
another style of real. I can't say the word real or anything with R's today.
Real world villain.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Wesley.
So my number 2 comes from a series of games that are going to be actually getting revamped and remastered and coming out very soon. It is the main antagonist for actually both the last 2 games, Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Ooh, I know it.
And it is the Harbinger / the Collector General. So, those two as a collective, they're basically part of a group of a race called the Reapers, and what they do is that they collect people to go ahead and try to build this human Reaper hybrid. You know what I mean? This big automaton to go ahead and like basically just destroy everything. The original thing that was going to happen was that the Harbinger's involvement first began 2 months after the battle at the Citadel, when you have to deal with the Shadow Broker to gain, and what he does is that he tries to gain possession of Commander Shepard's body after the Normandy gets blown up.
Mm-hmm.
So while controlling the Collector General, which is what the Harbinger does basically the entire game until the absolute end, the Harbinger is capable of assuming direct control of any individual collectors. So anytime you're going through the game and you see one of the collectors like kind of lift up and then just basically start glowing like this kind of red and yellow, and then you saw on their health meter, they had like 2 extra things pop up, for like shield and all that other type of stuff. That's how you knew that you were dealing with the collector, or I'm sorry, the Collector General or the Harbinger. Now, I say that because they're not the same guy. The Harbinger is controlling the Collector General, but the Collector General is the one that has the real ability to go ahead and actually take control of all of these other collectors. So, while I don't have a actual fight, that I can go ahead and think of that, that I would say, would be, the shit. You face him constantly in the game. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I went the instead of the, and I don't know why.
He is the shit.
I don't have anything for the shit.
For the shit, but yeah. So, but the whole thing about it was that anytime he took over somebody, obviously he took over somebody who was very, very strong to begin with. So it just made that battle even harder because he went ahead and turned up their bionic abilities basically to 11. Mm-hmm. So the physical appearance of the general, the Collector's General, is way different than what you would see from a standard collector, because standard collectors kind of had that humanoid type shape. They kind of look like husks.
Mm-hmm.
But the Collector General, it was more of an insect. Huge, large, like triangular type head, like short body, multiple limbs to be able to control everything within the ship that he was on. And the biggest thing, with that was, right before the end of Mass Effect 2, when you go ahead, when you blow up the ship, you saw, you heard the Harbinger talk, about, you're not destroying us, this isn't the end, they're still coming. And then you see the General Collector's eyes not glow anymore. And then, that's the only time you actually see, the General Collector as itself before it gets destroyed. But obviously, with what happens in the third game, that the Harbinger is still coming to Earth to go ahead and lay a smack down on them motherfuckers, or at least try to. Now I did
like
see, I did see the Harbinger. Harbinger was in like the 60s or 70s on one list. I think from like Ranker. I think I saw.
They had 100.
Yeah, well, it was at like 122 or some shit like that. But yeah, I mean that was about all I saw for the Harbinger for that particular list. But yeah, dude, like, man, the Harbinger was just one of those characters that just basically never died because you never really dealt with it. You know what I mean? Until like 3. So it was just a fantastic character. So that's my number 2.
You actually had me for a second there because that's not. As soon as you said Mass Effect, that's not where I thought you were going to go right
Elusive
away.
Man.
I thought you were going to go Elusive Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so I was thinking. Actually, that was my original was Harbinger, Elusive Man, but then Elusive Man is only he's
like the dude in the behind, like in the back pulling the strings.
Nah, dude, he's an opportunist, dude. He's a capitalist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, everything he's doing is to go ahead and make money or figure out a way to make more money. You know what I mean? Like, that's all he ever does. All he ever does is think business. So that's why, like, after I did more research on Elusive Man, I'm like, there's no point. There's no point to put him in this list. Even though he is on a bunch of villain lists, I did see him on a few. But Andy, what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is the only thing that would probably shock people about this particular character being on or this particular villain being on my list is that it's not my number 1. It's probably the only thing that will shock people. But my number 2 is Ganon. There's no way that he wasn't going to make my list.
I knew he was
absolutely
gonna be there.
not. From my favorite franchise of all time.
Yeah.
There's no way that he's not going to be there. And again, another one that we tackled, right?
Yes, we did.
Heroes and Villains. Jesus Christ. So in the games, Ganon alternates between 2 forms. You have Ganon, who's a massive demonic boar-like creature, and then Ganondorf, a tall, heavily built member of the Gerudo, a race of humanoid desert nomads. Ganon is the arch enemy of the series' main protagonist, Link and Princess Zelda, and the leader of the Gerudo. His specific motives vary from game to game, but, much like how you have Bowser and you have Mario, his specific motives vary from, are most involved capturing Princess Zelda and planning to conquer Hyrule and the world at large.
So one of the neat things about, and I don't know if you're going to put this on yours or not, but one of the neat things about Ganon is that the Gerudo, they don't have many males in in their society. It's almost
straight chicks.
It's almost predominantly female. So anytime you do have a male, they almost always become the leader.
King,
but then after Ganon went ahead and went all psycho crazy stupid shit, they basically stopped they basically stopped having males be the leaders, and then they just worked as a brute. To go ahead and just continue the race, and then they would go ahead and just have women be the leaders. Then they have their queens.
No, you're right, absolutely, and I thank you because that's a pretty. So I'm assuming you had Ganon when we did Heroes and Villains, huh?
Oh yeah, Ganon was mine.
Okay, fair enough. So, like I said last, his main motives are capturing Princess Zelda and planning to conquer Hyrule and the world at large. And to this end, he seeks the Triforce, an omnipotent artifact that grants any wish its bearer desires and usually manipulates several other villains to realize their ambitions. And in most games, he already possesses the Triforce of Power, which is a third of the Triforce that gives him godlike strength, boundless mystical power, and invulnerability to all but the most powerful sacred weapons, such as the Master Sword. And he's been obviously well received by critics, becoming one of the most popular and recognized villains ever. My favorite moments with him, I'm torn because he's so prevalent and so many of them games are so good. So I'm giving one of each. When you play A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo is when you see him as Ganon, and he's, like they said, like this, he looks like a big-ass pig. Like, this is basically what he looks like. He's this big-ass blue pig. But the battle is tough because the way they structure the game, you have the light world and the dark world. You're in the light world, you're collecting all these different, like, I actually forget what they're called. They're like crystals or whatever. But once you do that, Ganon basically drags Princess Zelda into the dark world, and then all the palaces and the dungeons that you visited in the light world you have to do again in the dark world, but everything's different and the bosses are different. You collect things, and then everything you use you bring to this final battle with Ganon, and it's not easy. You're in a very small room where the floor starts breaking around, and you have to be quick because you have to switch between weapons. You have to use you have to use the frost rod to freeze him, and then you have to go hit him a couple times, and then you have to shoot him with a light arrow. It's like there's a whole lot involved. His attacks are crazy, so that's probably my favorite battle with him. And then a battle that you have when he's Ganondorf, which is a lot of fun in Ocarina of Time, which is my favorite of all of the Legend of Zelda games, and most people, to my knowledge, it's their favorite game. You have a battle with him towards the end after you have after you get the light arrows, and it's almost kind of like it's a game of tennis. He's floating in this platform in the middle of this big-ass room, and you're running around, and he shoots this ball at you, and you have to smack it back with your sword, and then he smacks it back at you, and you pretty much have to outlast him until it comes back and hits him, and he misses, and then you got to jump over, hit him a couple times, and do that whole bit. But that's probably, my favorite battle with him. Now, he's going to probably remain in history as one of the top villains ever. I mean, in 2010, Nintendo Power ranked him as the best villain in Nintendo history. In 2013, Games Radar ranked him as the best villain in overall game history of any game ever made. They ranked him as number 1. And there's plenty of other lists that, he's
almost always in, top 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I'm getting at. One thing I will say, because we have to cover it, not everything can be great. In 2007, Andrew Gordon of Crack.com actually listed him in the Twilight Princess among the most disappointing video game end bosses, writing that we went into this battle expecting Darth Maul, and what we got was C-3PO. So there was a glitch there for Ganon, and it was in 2007. Apparently people did not like him, but then he pops up everywhere in lists of top 10 boss fights ever, runners up to best villains ever, top 10 video game characters that deserve their own games. So he's in a lot of these lists, and for good reason.
Ooh, I never thought about that. Having him as Ganondorf and then going ahead and actually having him work
that should actually
Ganon and then ending as Calamity Ganon.
That should actually that should actually end up as a episode for us. Video game characters that deserve their own game. That could be there's so many characters that we've seen in games that could have their own game or their own story. So we got to come back to that.
I'm jotting that down now.
Do it. So that's my number 2, and now we are getting down to the nitty gritty, the number 1s that I know Anthony's.
It's going to be so exciting and super quick. Ready? My number 1. Vos Montenegro.
Did we hear about him already? Oh, we did.
Oh yeah, we did. Okay, Wes, go ahead. What's yours?
But you had a moment that you had of his that I didn't get to talk about. That's
no, go ahead.
Oh, I thought he said he did.
No, we're just gonna move on.
All right then. My number 1 is somebody that Anthony already had as his number 3, I believe.
Yeah.
And it is Handsome
This is where
Jack.
that overlap.
Yep, and this is Handsome Jack from the Borderlands 2 game. Now, he is the former CEO of Hyperion Corporation and self-proclaimed dictator of Pandora. Like Anthony was talking about, he trapped his daughter, Angel, who's a technomancer type of siren. She has the ability of controlling technology. And used her essentially as the main conduit for the Echo-Nets. They go all throughout Pandora, and used her. Well, the plan was to use her as the key to unlock the warrior at the end of Borderlands 2. You end up using Lilith, but that's only because we got Angel out, and then he killed Roland, and then took Lilith. But that I don't even need to say spoiler alert for that game. The game's been out for fucking ages. So when it comes down to the fight, look, Anthony gave a really good bio of his life before he went ahead and became CEO of Hyperion. So I just wanted to just let that sit where it was. So I'm just going to post that. But I don't even have a good fight. Like when you fight him before you fight the warrior, it's a good fight. It's not bad. But to me,
not that hard though.
But to me, like I look at the entire banter throughout the game. You know what I'm saying? Everything he's talking about you. Vault thieves. Also, just the way he talks about you. The way he talks about the characters, and then also like how he talks about his trusty steed, Butt Stallion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it's still pretty funny though if you think about it when he hires you to kill his fucking grandmother.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I need you, Vault Hunter, right now. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
There are just some moments in Borderlands that even in Borderlands you're like, Jesus, like, is there anywhere they won't go?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
like, really, this is what we're doing?
You seriously sit there and go, well, that was weird, and this is Borderlands, and you're saying that was weird. But like yo, when he kills Roland, you mean that whole everything that went on with that. You mean also, I mean when he, I know Anthony's this is gonna hit Anthony's heart a little bit. You mean when he kidnaps Bloodwing
That hurts everybody, especially anyone that played
as Mordecai,
yeah. Which I did and he did.
And
Well, that's why I said Anthony. I forgot that. I forgot. I thought you played more as
I was Mordecai and then I was Zero.
You got to remember, Andy didn't really play with us while we played because
no, you guys played well before me.
We had to talk him into playing a cell shaded style game. He's like, I don't like that kind of stuff, so I don't play it.
Now,
wow,
handsome.
Yeah, that's my rendition of you.
That's interesting. That was interesting.
That's like I wish I sounded like that. I don't play it. Like that's. I wish that was me.
Oh. Shit.
All right, so IGN had Handsome Jack ranked at number 50 in top 100 villains of gaming. I consider that way too low. He needs to be. Look, obviously I have him as number 1. To me, he needs to be top 10. And look, I understand like one of the top villains in like all of gaming that I've seen on a bunch of different ranks that we aren't even talking about. You know what I mean? That I know we're going to see later. Is from Final Fantasy, Sephiroth. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I mean, obviously that's just not our style of game. So.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, dude,
I'll let it be a surprise to you.
All right, I consider Jack as way higher than number 50. But little side note thing for Jack, he is voiced by a guy named Damon Clark, and people will know him from the Dragon Ball Z games. He's Cell in the Dragon Ball Z games, and then he's also Nathan Spencer in the Marvel vs. Capcom series.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Andy, give us your number 1 that is not Ganon.
I love how your face is super confused because you're probably like, I thought that would be your number 1.
I did. I honestly did.
This actually won't shock you, but it's gonna be tough, and I'm gonna be careful with how I go about this because there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. But my number 1, unequivocally, is Abby Anderson from Last of Us Part 2. It is not even close. It is not even close. Like, the distance between her and everyone else on the list is just so far. But this is going to be, for people that have played the game, this is going to be a little bit touchy because what makes this game so great is kind of, to harken back to what you were saying when you were talking about villains that you can understand why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is kind of like that because there's a couple different ways you can look at the game, and depending on what you would do or what your morals are and whatnot, you may see different villains throughout the game. You may think that someone's a villain, may actually not be a villain, and maybe someone else is the villain. So it's kind of open to interpretation, and the people that have played the game will understand what I mean. And that's the best thing I can say without giving certain things away because, again, one, this game is still super new. And with, for people that have the PS5, the fact that you have the original Last of Us remastered for free, if you wanted to play that and then get the new one, that's, still an option, so I don't want to give too much away. But there are just, like, all I can say, and I may have said this before, is that I have never been more angry and invested in a video game than I was playing this game at various points throughout the game. Never in my life did I have to remove myself from the room and just like take a breath because I was so insanely angry. And again, that's just a testament to how great the writing is and all the people involved. So kudos to them. But she for this reason, I'm not going to give a whole lot of information on her because it'd be impossible to do so without spoiling some very large like plot points, which I don't want to do. And again, people that listen to us that have played the game will understand because I still hold this game in such high regard that I say that like if there's ever a game you need to play before you die, it's this one. When your only complaint about a game is that they may have dragged it on a little too long, which I will agree that it does get to a point, never where it's not fun, but where it's like we probably could have wrapped this up a little sooner. But
yeah, that's what I heard.
If that's your only gripe is that it's a little too long, some people may look at it as, well, I'm just getting more for my money. So that's fine. There's two arguments there. But she is my number 1, and obviously the best that I have as far as accolades here is that she literally just won at the 2020 Game Awards for Best Performance. In the 2020 Game Awards, where Last of Us Part 2 pretty much cleaned up just about every category it was up for.
Yeah.
And against very good competition. It's not like it was a weak nominees and they were the runaway favorite. There was a lot of bangers that they were in there with.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, you had Hades, you had Miles Morales. You had a lot of really
very,
great
very
games.
good games. And now having hands-on experience with some of those other games and seeing how good they are, even more so. But I have never felt in a game like I felt with this one, and she is at the height of that for me. So that's my number one. Easiest pick I had the entire time. I literally had her picked before the rest of them, and I worked the rest of my list around that.
I had my number one pick very quickly, just because it made sense. And
me too, but somebody else fucking picked it.
We all knew. Well, dude, but that also shows you how good. That also shows you how good Vos is, and literally makes my point. Because remember, the first thing I said was he was my number 4, but could easily be somebody's number 1. And at that time, I didn't know he was your number 1.
Yeah,
I had a feeling he was on your list. But once you didn't get to it by 4, I was like, maybe he's 3 or 2, but he could easily be number 1, and there you go.
All right, so Scoop, why don't you go ahead and give your run down your top 5 again, just by name.
So my top 5, we had 5 Sigma, 4 Vos Montenegro, 3 Albert Wesker, 2 Gannon, and number 1 Abby Anderson.
All right, Anthony, who you got?
5, I got Joseph Seed. Number 4, Lucian Fairfax. Number 3, Handsome Jack. Number 2, General Shepard. And number 1, Vos Montenegro.
All right, and for myself, I had number 5 is Father from Fallout 4. Number 4 is Tyrant. Number 3 is The Second Sister. Number 2 is The Harbinger / Collector General. And number 1 was Handsome Jack. So, yeah, that's what we have on our top 5s, man. We definitely got, a little bit of crossover on these lists, but all in all, definitely a good list. I really liked what y'all picked.
Yeah, it was a solid list. It just shows you that the ones that you guys picked that I didn't have on my list could easily be in my top 5.
Yeah, your reaction.
There's
Yeah.
there's so many. It's so funny how that just shows you how great this past year or even these past couple years have been for video games. When you can forget a game like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, when you can forget that even existed for a minute, that's how you know games have been great. Because as soon as you brought that up, I was like, oh Jesus! How did that slip?
I got another idea for show. How about upcoming villains that we're excited to see?
Yeah, that could work.
I'll jot it down.
That could always work.
Because I know there's a couple in games that will be releasing that I'm really excited to see.
Okay, so now we gave you our top 5, like Wes said, and we decided to go on and see what some of the video game world thinks outside of us. So you have places like IGN, Games Radar, which is what we went with, because Games Radar always has some pretty spot-on lists, and that's what we went with. So I think Anthony's going to hit us up with the first third of that list.
Yep. So I'm going to start with number 30. It's Dormin from Shadow of Colossus.
Man, it's been a long time since I played that game, but that's solid.
Number 29, Dracula from Castlevania.
OG. Absolute OG.
Andy, I think you'll like this. Number 28, Dr. Wily from Mega Man.
Yeah,
he was the main
original,
one we talked about with the heroes and villains. It was Dr. Wily.
Okay, so there you go.
The original antagonist before Sigma was around.
Yep.
Number 27 is Olivia Pierce from Doom.
Never actually played it.
Nah.
Kerrigan from StarCraft.
We know StarCraft has a huge following, so that makes sense.
Wes, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it's Dominus Gal
from Destiny 2.
Yes, is that correct? Did I say that right, or did I say it wrong? If I said it wrong, I'm sorry.
The G-O-U-L?
No,
G-H-A-U-L.
it's G-H-A-U-L, so I feel like the H is probably silent.
Okay, yeah. No. Gal was
it's probably Dominus
right.
Gall. It's probably Dominus Gall. But either way, close enough. Do you remember this person, Wes?
It's been a long time since I played the campaign.
Fair enough, but it doesn't surprise me that something from Destiny would be up there.
True.
Number 24, Bloody Mary from The Wolf Among Us. That was part of the Telltale series.
I heard a lot of good things.
Stuff.
Really good. Really good series. Here you go. The Elusive Man, Mass Effect 3.
There you go.
That, by the way, that was number 23. Where am I stopping, by the way? Because I'm just going to
21.
21. Okay. Number 22, Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat.
Great choice.
Absolutely.
And I have no idea who this is, but it's Captain LeChuck from The Secret of Monkey Island.
I hear a lot about those games, but I've never played
I've never
one.
heard about that game.
But seeing as how a villain makes it at 21, I mean,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. All right.
Wes, do you want me to take the next, or do you
No,
want to go?
I got from 20 to 11.
Okay.
So number 20 is Kane from Command and Conquer.
When's the last time y'all played one of those games?
Never.
I don't even know.
Really?
Yeah, I've never played a Command and Conquer game. Oh, this one you're gonna know, Andy. Alma
What's that?
from Fear.
Oh,
Number
that
19.
little crazy psychic red bitch. Yeah,
Yeah. So let's see here.
that makes sense.
My man, Handsome Jack, is number 18 from Borderlands.
Still not in the top 10.
I know. It pisses me.
No,
Dude,
but
it
it's higher
pisses
than you
me
saw
off.
in the
But it's
other one.
definitely
though.
higher. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, what?
Yeah. No. It's. I mean, it's higher than the IGN one, so I'm fine with that. This one's for our friends like Shelby and everybody. Arthas from World of Warcraft is that was number 17. Here we go. Here's a Final Fantasy one. For Final Fantasy 6, you have Kefka.
Kefka, yeah.
Number 15 is from Metal Gear Solid. You have Revolver Ocelot.
You could pick a lot of people from Metal Gear Solid. That's a solid game for villains.
This game, I watched my boy Adrian play this from Unknown Games Podcast. Dude, he played this game for like 2 months. Game's called Undertale. Really weird game, but a lot of fun to watch. And the villain is Flowery or Flowy. Here's one that a lot of people are going to know from Street Fighter V.
yeah.
M. Bison, number 13.
Was Street Fighter V, and was that the one that I watched you play like ad nauseum? Did you play that one? I watched you play a fighting game like a
thought it was
motherfucker
4.
for like a long time.
I don't know. But M. Bison has been a staple throughout the entire Street Fighter series.
That is
so
true.
not just Street Fighter
since the
V.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one that has one of my favorite voice actors of all time, Mark Harmon.
Hands down. Yes.
Yes, Batman Arkham Knight, it is the Joker. And I love the fact that they brought Mark Harmon back for that role. That was one of the best things. Ooh, I'm actually really surprised to see this one.
Did you say Mark? Did you just say Mark Harmon?
Mark Hamill, sorry. I did
Boy, oh boy, the fact that I had to correct you
could-
on a voice actor
Bruh,
like Mark Hamill.
I ain't thinking right. Come on. All right, so number 11 is actually something I wasn't expecting. I figured this would be in top 5. Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I mean, that's an argument that a lot of people could make because, I mean, that's one of the most popular games of all time and one of the most popular franchises of all time, and that's the big bad dude.
Yeah.
So, makes sense. All right, well, I'll take 10 to 1 then. And starting off with number 10, this is Shodan from System Shock 2, which I have never played.
Yeah,
But apparently it's an AI, which is, long before they had GLaDOS and Portal, you had Shodan. So apparently this is some big shit.
GLaDOS almost made my list.
Yeah, really?
I love Portal 2, dude. Game is so much fun.
Well, right after I'm done this list, we'll real quick give an honorable mention if you have one. That didn't make our list. But number 9, Dr. Robotnik.
Yes.
No surprise there. No surprise that he's in the top 10. Who Jim Carrey did like much justice in
In the movie.
that movie. If you guys haven't seen it yet. Number 8, Pyramid Head, Silent Hill 2. One of the creepiest villains ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
By far. Terrifying. Number 7, Vos Montenegro.
There you go.
Yeah, he broke the top 10.
Yep. Number 6 from BioShock, Andrew Ryan. Never. Why do I not remember?
I started playing the first BioShock game. I didn't get that far into it, though.
Number 5, Albert Wesker.
There you go.
We
Yeah.
just talked about. Number 4. Now this is interesting. It says number 4, Ganon, but then in parentheses it says Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Which is
So I guess
Calamity
they're just
Ganon.
going.
That's Calamity Ganon.
Yeah.
That's that's not regular Ganon.
Okay, fair enough. Number 3 is a character I've heard a lot about from a game that I would love to
Yes.
play. Apparently, this bitch is nuts.
She's
And that's
psycho.
Frau Engel from Wolfenstein 2. Every time I hear that name, I just think of freaking Austin Powers. Frau Farpissena. That's all I think of. No surprise here. Number 2 from Super Mario Brothers, Bowser.
I love the suit they got him in.
That shouldn't surprise anybody. What the hell is number 1 then? Oh wow. Okay, number 1, GLaDOS.
Oh,
from Portal.
shit.
That's crazy. I honestly did not expect. I've never played Portal, so I don't have.
I never played the
much I
first
can
one,
really
but
give there.
Portal 2, I spent I easily spent like almost 60 hours playing. That game was so much fun. Dude, I enjoy games that have real life physics. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, and it's a puzzle solving game that has real life physics adapted to it. So it's actually a really fun game.
But yeah, so like we said, real quick, just going back, is there anybody that you wanted to put on your list that just didn't make it, but that you would want to mention? You did bring up GLaDOS.
Yeah.
You said almost made your list. Was there anybody else for either of you?
I really can't think of anybody. Nah. I had a few that I had in the list, but I can't remember who they were because I deleted them out. When I was writing it down before I finalized mine.
There's one that was about to be super high on my list, and I've talked about it briefly.
Wow. Previously?
Talked about it briefly before, and that is Psychomantis from Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Not only was Psychomantis creepy as fuck, but also super memorable because that, to my knowledge, was the first time that a character in a video game ever broke the fourth wall, like in a video game. So I don't know if you ever play this, but it and a lot of people had actually done this. They're you end up talking to Psychomantis, and I don't even understand how they do it, especially at the time. But he starts talking to you, and like you're playing Metal Gear Solid, and he starts telling you to like turn off your system, and then he actually reads your memory card. Like your specific memory card would say things like, "Oh, I see you like to play a lot of Castlevania, don't you?" And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening? And when you're like a lot younger, going through that, and you're like, what the hell is happening right now? What is happening? Like, he literally reads your memory card. It's creepy, and it's obviously hilarious. A super memorable moment. But if there's anyone that was going to make my list, it was going to be, it is whatever. Like, he's got moments like that, telling you to put your controller on the floor, sit your controller on the floor, your DualShock controller, I'll move it with my mind. Like, what the fuck? What is happening right now? What is happening? Yeah, that's an honorable mention. But yeah, so that's the top 30 on Games Radar. We had a lot of crossover from what we picked.
Yeah. So let's get into news. He leans in, does it, then leans back. Meanwhile, half the time you're fading into your background, so.
Where even are you?
I'm in my bedroom.
That's his
No,
office.
I mean, where are you?
An office in like Google Corp or some shit like that. I don't know
Yeah,
what the fuck
whatever it is.
Oh, you work for Google now.
Hold on. You know what? I'll put myself in a snowy wonderland.
That looks like every piece of Ukrainian art that was at my grandmother's house.
Or I just blur it like, nah, I don't
For those who can't see what we see, we are doing this again from our own homes, social distance style, and Anthony is changing the backgrounds on his camera.
And I officially work in an office building. That looks like a name we won't mention for copyright issues.
But let's start this news off.
All right, so one of the first things I have is actually a lawsuit that is going to be going out to Nintendo. It is a class action lawsuit that has to do with the Joy-Con drift issues. And the lawsuit's going to be coming from the US, Canada, and also across Europe. So dude, this has been a huge issue over the last 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, because essentially what happens is that, when you're playing a game to where you kind of have your controller straight, obviously these controllers, you can slide back, you can rotate and do all this stuff, different type of stuff to them. And when you, if you stay, like when it drifts, like it just keeps on like leaning or it's kind of staying to one side.
Mm-hmm.
So, question. The PlayStation 5 actually had an issue with that when it first released. I don't know if anybody remembers seeing or hearing about that. Now, with the Joy-Cons for Nintendo, do they have updatable software?
So what you would have to do is that if you had a Joy-Con drift issue, you could go to the store and then go ahead and they just give you a new set.
Okay. So, like, I know with, like, the PlayStation 5, there was a software update that corrected the issue.
Yeah, I don't believe there's a software update for Nintendo itself.
And that could be the thing, unless it's like a thing with like maybe the Pro controllers. I don't know because I don't have one of them. I don't know. Lawsuits for silly things like this kind of bother me.
I mean, look.
Like, that's just my opinion. That's me personally. Like, if it drifts, it drifts. Get the fuck over it. Keep playing your game and have a good time.
I mean, look. We all know about. Playing a game and you're not touching the controller at all, and then you kind of start like. You know what I mean? Your camera just starts kind of tilting one way or the other, or you just start like.
Oh, I've had it happen many a time.
I feel like maybe a lawsuit's a little extreme. Like on one hand, like I want what I pay for. Like you promised this, I paid money on this. Give me what I pay for. And I think maybe $50
fucking system. You know what I mean? You want the shit to go ahead and be right.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know about a lawsuit. Maybe just like something to be able to just get your money back and
or just like a swap
get a new
program.
One. Yeah, something like that.
There's no need
if
for
they can do that. But lawsuits
so when it comes down to the U.S., the class action suits are in Illinois, California, and there are 2 in Washington. In Europe, you are talking about a French consumer organization. Leading this lawsuit, and it's coming from the Netherlands, Belgium, France, Greece, Norway, Italy, Portugal, and Slovenia. And
this is a big thing.
This has been a huge problem, dude. Like it really has. Like when these first came out, like dude, it was like off the jump. There was a fucking Joy-Con drift issue, and then, like I said, they were like, okay, fine, just go ahead, go and get new ones. And we won't charge you for them. And then a lot of people did that, but other people just, I guess, got all booty holed. I don't know.
That's exactly what happened.
Did you say everybody got booty holed?
Got booty hold, man. Just got fucking all butt hurt and shit.
That's what happened.
I got you.
So my next story is one that we talked a little bit about before we cut the mics on.
This makes me so angry. Well, it did until I found out what happened.
Yes. So initially, Microsoft decided that they were going to up the price on their Xbox Live pricing.
Fuck
for Gold.
you!
Essentially, they doubled the price for everything. So for 1 year, you're going ahead and paying like $120. They got absolutely fucking roasted online.
Oh yeah, it was fucking fantastic.
Rightfully so,
dude.
Twitter and everything was blowing up saying,
"Oh my god,
fuck you, Microsoft."
Because a bunch of people are like, just like hardcore avid Microsoft and Xbox players, and they were like, "You just fucked up like years of us telling people how great these systems are. Yeah. You just absolutely, dude, everything is going down the fucking toilet now because you want to go ahead and do this stupid shit."
And it wasn't just people, though. It was also, like, video game companies. Like, I've read it. There was one on there from Call of Duty. The Call of Duty guys. I was like... It literally broke it down. It was like playing Warzone, PC free, PlayStation free, Xbox or Microsoft $120 a year.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Like, come on.
So they retracted, from going ahead and doing this, and this was their statement that they made. They said, "We messed up today, and you were right to let us know."
No shit. No shit. That shouldn't have been a fucking... So this is one of those things that should have been like, why don't we think about this and think... We've brought this up many times before that you... Even as a big company like Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, you need to think about the people that play and purchase your item.
Look.
And when you see something that says, "Hey, we're gonna double our yearly fee," that doesn't say that I'm thinking about my consumers. It says I'm thinking about my wallet.
What they did was that they had a conversation in the boardroom. They didn't have a conversation, on the street with people. They had a conversation in the boardroom, and the boardroom is where this deal was made, and that's where they went wrong. So to go.
And my thing is Microsoft seems like the type of company that they would hit the streets first and ask consumers. You know what I mean? They seem like that kind of company that might get out there with their consumers and say, "Hey, we're going to do a poll really quick. What do you think?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it seems like you said, it was a boardroom decision that was just not a good one.
Yeah, and you know why they went to the boardroom and didn't go to the street? It's easy to not go to the street when you know what your answer on the street's going to be.
Right, and that's
who is going to go to the street and be like, "So are you cool if we double this thing that's already more expensive than all of our contemporaries?" Are you cool with that? You cool if we double this thing? No.
Also, you see on the news, Microsoft execs get their shit beat out of them.
Yeah,
they tried to get slick. They just took it to the boardroom, said, "We'll just do this and see what happens." At least good on them. They were as dumb as they were in the beginning to try.
They were ready
smart
for
enough
it.
to just nip it in the bud.
They were ready to go ahead and retract it. But to continue their statement, they said connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming, and we fail to meet the expectation of players who count on it every day. As a result, we have decided not to change the Xbox Live Gold pricing. We're turning this moment into an opportunity to bring Xbox Live in line with how we see the players at the center of the experience. With how we see the players at the center of their experience. Free-to-play games will truly be free, and you will no longer need an Xbox Live Gold membership to play those games on Xbox. We are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months.
I like how they tried to get gangster and raise the price, and now they just cost themselves more money because now to make up for it, they're giving you free games you wouldn't normally have been able to get.
Yeah,
exactly. My biggest issue, though, with this entire thing is the fact that they did it during the whole COVID thing.
Yeah, it's just wrong. Like
that's my biggest fucking issue with this.
So
I
many
don't
people
care
are
about
home
the
right
increase
now
in price.
with no,
exactly.
with no
I
fucking
get
money.
And I understand the increase in price, and I get it. You're trying to make a little bit more money to probably pad the deal that you made with fucking Bethesda, or not. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'm not a board member. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when you're doing this through what's considered a pandemic, you don't do that. You think about the people, and like Andy said, they had to literally. It's costing them more money now just for the fact that they fucked up so bad.
Yeah.
So
like I said, it would have been dumb at any point in time, but right now, with how financially some people are struggling, it's just it comes off incredibly tone deaf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that is not the time to raise your price, let alone double it. That's not. But like I said, where I will give them, it's like giving someone credit for fixing a problem that they caused. So like I'm giving you a little bit of credit, even though it's your fault. But they could have just been like, tough, deal with it, because they know a lot of people would still do it.
Yeah. Now here's the
So they
thing.
could have just been like, tough, that's what we want to do.
They are going to. I mean, they're really saying sorry because, this had to been. This had to been in the works for a while. So I think in order to go ahead and say sorry, they I just saw what they're putting out for February for free games.
Bangers.
The first one you're going to see is an absolute fucking banger. Like so.
Well, since we'll have it for an episode, you can tell us when we cut the lights
tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. Next week. Next week's episode is going to be our free and new. So,
sweet.
But yeah, so Andy, you have a little bit of information about
I got
event.
a couple things.
this is awkward because I have no news today.
I got a couple things. Well, I did want to talk about this because granted, it's, we did it for Monster Hunter World. It is after a video game, so we should talk about Uncharted. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, it got delayed to 2022.
A long time. It was supposed to come out in the summer, and it's getting delayed all the way to February 11th of 2022. So that kind of sucks, but we're interested, so we had to talk about it. But yeah, as you said, I do have information on. There was a stream that came on. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Thursday,
January 21st.
Yep,
Whenever the hell
Thursday.
that was.
I will never forget that
2 days
day.
ago. It was the day of living infamy. So Resident Evil had their showcase, because up until then we really didn't have much to go on for Resident Evil Village, also Resident Evil 8, and they brought the fire. It was a really cool showcase. They finally showed some gameplay, talked a little bit more about the story. What's up, Wes?
We talked about that before, about how with all these other showcases that have happened over the last 8 months, that we've gotten nothing. Literally nothing from Resident Evil, and you in particular were starting to get fairly irritated at not having any new news at all. So
yeah,
so this showcase, really, this is really probably something you really wanted to see.
Absolutely, I absolutely wanted to see it because I had nothing, and while I was hopeful because I'm like, okay, maybe this just means that they've got their nose to the grindstone and they're working super hard, and then we'll get me something. But it was getting nerve-wracking because they're such a big part of Capcom and of the PlayStation and all that stuff that it drove me nuts that there was nothing. But they showed a lot here. So to start with the Resident Evil 8 Village stuff that they showed, they did show some gameplay, a little bit more of the story, and utilizing the RE engine just like they did for Resident Evil 7. The game looks fantastic. It looks great. It looks hyper realistic, which is phenomenal. They showed you a little bit more of some of the characters, like that giant ass freaking vampire lady that we talked about on the last episode. I thought it was just a camera angle at the last time, but no, she's just big as shit.
People are quite enamored with her, actually. People, because like, she definitely has, very, very good looking features. You know what I mean? Obviously, besides being a vampire, but
yeah.
But I mean, just that very busty looking, like Amazon tall type of woman.
Well, remember, people forget that when you talk about like a lot of the old lore of vampires, they're not all these ugly, blood-sucking demons that look all undead. They're like meant to look beautiful and stuff like that to draw you in. Yeah, and they look good. So, but it seems quite diabolical. You once again play as Ethan Winters, who you play as in Resident Evil 7. They did not dive any further into Chris Redfield's involvement, like you saw, like how I said I need to see more.
Yeah, but that was a weird scene with him.
They didn't touch on any of that at all. Not one bit. So that's something I guess that they just want to leave for you to figure out. But you end up in this village. One point that's kind of cool, and Wes, this will be a throwback for you because to my knowledge, before you did this run with Freaky Friday with the remaster of Resident Evil 2, I believe Resident Evil 4 was the last one that you played.
That was the first Resident Evil game I completed.
On GameCube.
Yes, sir.
Throwback. So a throwback to that. Do you remember? Because it was the only game to my knowledge that they did that for. Do you remember the merchant that they had in Resident Evil 4 to buy? They brought that back.
Yeah, dude, fucking like open up his fucking.
Yeah. They brought that back. It's not the same guy. In this game, he's much creepier. He's huge. He looks like he's about 500 pounds. He's called the Duke. But it works the same way. You buy ammo, you buy guns, sell guns, upgrade your stuff.
Real quick, just talking on Resident Evil 4, there actually is a remake in the works for Resident Evil 4. So, obviously that one dealt with Leon again. So I'm actually very curious on how that's going to end up being, but that was a complete side note just because you mentioned Resident Evil 4. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I thought that was cool because that was something that a lot of people loved from that fourth game, being able to buy guns, sell guns, upgrade your stuff. Yeah. It felt like you were actually, some people liked it, some people didn't because they felt like once things got a little too powerful, maybe it made the game a little too easy. I don't know. I enjoyed it because you had the option. You didn't have to do it if you didn't want to.
True.
But I found it cool. But they did show a lot more of the game. They showed some combat, which what's new about these games, or newer, is that blocking is now a focal point of things. It's not just shooting and dodging attacks. There's now a block button to be able to put up your hands and take reduced damage, which is something new.
And this is still first person. Right?
They've stuck with the first person,
okay.
which is a brilliant idea. Before I get into a little more, the one thing that I was surprised at, and I told you about this right afterwards, that I was disappointed that nobody discussed anything VR related.
Yeah.
Because that was such a big part of 7, and it went over so well, and knowing the fact that you can use your PSVR from the 4 with the 5, it shocked me that they didn't say anything one way or another. They gave no info. They didn't shut it down. They didn't say, yes, we're doing it. So that was disappointing because that's how I would love to play that game. I'm going to play it either way, but I would love to play it that way. And the first-person style just really lends itself to that.
Yeah.
But the gameplay looked great. They also introduced that there is a beta for the game called Maiden that doesn't involve any combat or blocking or anything like that, but it's very much like an escape the castle type of thing where you play as this character called the Maiden and you have to escape this big ass castle and avoid different enemies and stuff like that. That beta is open to anyone with a PS5 now.
Okay.
That's the only place you can get it now, but they did say that they will be releasing things in the future for the other systems. So that is only for PlayStation 5. You can download that for free immediately.
Oh, word.
Like as soon as you hear this. And for I believe it's the 25th anniversary of Resident Evil. This is something that made me quite excited and I thought could be a lot of fun. They're coming out with a new game called Resident Evil Verse, so RE-verse. It is a
or Reverse.
Huh? I don't know. The way they said it, they said RE-verse.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, you could look at it as Reverse. It's a fight to the death that all Resident Evil fans can enjoy. In Resident Evil Reverse, You can test your skills against other players in 4 to 6 person deathmatch battles. Play as beloved characters from the Resident Evil series and turn the tides of battle with powerful bioweapons. Take part in 5-minute death matches where the player with the most points wins. Use the weapons and items you find to take down even more powerful enemies. And turn the tides with bioweapons revenge. When your character is taken out, their body transforms into a powerful bioweapon, which can be used against other players. Pick up multiple virus capsules to transform into even stronger bioweapons. Getting revenge with a bioweapon is also a great chance for more points. And when I saw this, they opened the Rolodex of characters. I saw Ada and Chris and Jill and Leon and
Cool.
Who else? The family. Some people from the family that you go against in Resident Evil 7.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the way it looked, the style, you'd have to look it up. It looks a little cell shit. Like I got a Borderlands-y vibe from it. It didn't look like it had your typical Resident Evil graphics, but I saw a motherfucker stomping around in there as the Nemesis, like, it looked like it's something that would be a lot of fun.
Wonder if you could be Mr.
So,
X.
but that's, I did see Mr. X as well.
Nice.
I saw Mr. X as well, and they did say that I believe they said there'll be a trailer in. A beta for the actual game in the future. I think they may have said, but even if they didn't say that, for sure the game drops May 7th, 2021.
All right.
Is when you can get your hands on the game. Pre-orders have already started. But yeah, May 7th, 2021. I'm excited.
Damn. Well, there you go. That is what we have in news. So, we're going to tell y'all about some chill. And then some very exciting news from me. So let's go ahead and tell everybody what we are playing.
Who going first? Am I going first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I finally got some new stuff because I got a PlayStation 5 now.
Yeah.
So it's dope, bruh. So yeah, so I was playing Chell the other day, and no, I'm just kidding. So yeah, we did play Chell. I'll let you talk about that. But I've been balls deep in Spider-Man Miles Morales and having a shite ton of fun. A shite ton.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
How much of the actual campaign have you done?
One mission. Of like the actual like story parts.
Yeah.
I've done again, like I do with every other game. As soon as the open world aspect of it becomes available and you can go where you want, do what you want, that's the last I do of the main stuff until I do everything else. So there's crimes that you can go and handle, and then there's also like these other activities that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I've done all of those. There's different training challenges that get left behind for you. I don't want to spoil too much because again, the game's still pretty new. There's challenges that get left behind for you, like stealth challenges, traversal challenges, combat challenges. I've done all of them. I've just swung around the city for a long stretch time, just flipping around and doing a bunch of shit, trying to find the highest point in the game and jumping off it and doing all sorts of stuff.
Love that stuff.
The combat's fun. It's it's a lot. Like it hits you with a lot right away. And I legit have not played a Spider-Man game since PlayStation 2, I think, was when the first Spider-Man game came out.
Shit.
And that's the last time that I played one. So it's funny because when I was playing it, Alex came in and she was like, how do you remember all of this? I was like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But it has been a lot of fun being able to see this game because I went over to Anthony's to play it and it looked fantastic. And then I found out that he wasn't even utilizing the 4K HDR because the TV that he had it on didn't even offer any of that. And I was like, holy shit, and this looks phenomenal. So now having it on my TV, which has all that, I'm like, holy shit, it does look even better. That's crazy. It's crazy. The loading times, that whole non-existent shit, they weren't kidding. They weren't kidding. You click your game, you click continue, you hit the X button, 1, 2, boom, you're there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, load times on these new systems is phenomenal.
Yeah, in addition to that, I've been playing a little bit of, I also downloaded NBA 2K21. For the system, I started my career in that. Anthony was over last weekend. We played a game together as the Sixers. We player locked and spanked that booty by like 30.
That was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Still trying to coax him into downloading it himself. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I did my face scan. My guy actually looks just like me, which is cool.
Shit.
This is the first time I didn't end up with 16 mutants before I got to like me. Like I had all my my ears were there, my chin was there, my nose, my eyes were where they were supposed to be. So like everything looks good. They still have yet to figure out and take this how you want it. It is what it is. In 2015, they gave you multiple voices to choose from because they realized that multiple different types of people play this game. You got white people, you got Asian people, you got black people, you got a bunch. Like now, you legit only have like an African American voice, which sounds very, very funny on a 5'7" white boy, a 5'7" little Jewish white boy. And people have a problem with this because in 2015 they had voices to choose from for that reason, because that, like, the game's great and whatnot, and you have a lot of fun playing, but it breaks the immersion a little bit when it's just like, why is that voice coming out of me? Like someone posted on Reddit, they were like, is there any way that I can change my voice, because hearing this husky voice come out of my little Asian self just doesn't sound right? and someone else just said, just play the game on mute. That's what I do.
Oh wow.
It's because it's just weird. So I hope that they go back to creating multiple different voices for the different people that play. It's not a deal breaker. It's still a super fun game, and it plays great. And again, load times there are non-existent. Everything's super smooth. The DualSense controller with that was outrageous. I thought my shit was broken when I first played it, because the triggers, the adaptive triggers, the more tired you are, it's harder to pull the trigger down to run down the court. At one point, like, I literally almost couldn't pull it, and my guy wouldn't move, and I'm like, what is happening? And then I was like, oh, this is gaming in 2021. Like, this is just what this is now. But seeing with that, and that's why I can't wait for you to experience it, Wes, because Anthony said the same thing to me. He was the first one to get his hands on it, where we talked about how much hope we had for that controller and how it was exceeding people's expectations. Yeah. And then Ant said, yeah, it does. It exceeded mine. And now that I got my hands on one, and I go, holy shit, it exceeded mine too. It's, there's no ends to what they can do with that thing.
Nice.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing. What you got?
Ant.
Nothing.
Just chilling?
All right, Wes.
I've been playing, I've just been playing Shao at the end of every couple nights. That's it.
Yeah.
We're in playoffs and we're fucking losing.
Yeah.
Just put it
Yeah,
blood.
we're not playing that great. But, yeah, so, running through my normal thing, doing Destiny on Mondays. I went ahead and I had some stuff done. So, I had some time off, so I've been throwing down a little bit more with the boys on Chell. And, some awesome thing happened. I am now officially a Twitch affiliate.
Brother, it's been a long journey, but you got there, my man.
Yeah, dude, we finally hit it. So, I was texting Andy earlier. I'm like, all right, man, which one of y'all's next?
I'm good, but I'd like to get mine to affiliate before Little Man arrives.
That's it.
Because I know you got to put in a little bit more work to get there, and then once you're there, you can.
Well, once you're there, you're straight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
That's
not
what
going to lose affiliate. I want to hit partner. I said it before. Your partner is a daunting fucking task because you need to average 100 viewers. You know what I mean? Like,
people get there.
Oh, people absolutely do. But once again, I've said, do people like me that look like me? That's the question.
This is first for everything,
right?
But yeah. So I'm down to give it a whirl.
All right.
I'm not gonna do it in the middle of Spider-Man, so I'm gonna make sure that whatever the next game that I get is something that would be fun to stream, and I'll probably stream the hell out of that.
I think that's what I did. I think I started streaming in the middle of Fallen Order, and then I just went through the rest of it, and then that's when we started doing the Freaky Friday thing. So then we started running Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, we just gotta find the right niche for you to go ahead and hit, and then just hit the ground running.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I literally have nothing else. We've been chilling, and over the last like fucking 10 games that I played in Chell, I've had one goal. You know what I mean? It was a banger of it. It was a snipe, but that's that's the best I've had.
I'm not gonna forget that goal from last night for a long time. That one in our last game when you were just like, Andy, dude, ew, why? Bro, we played this team as soon as you got off, Ant, and I was like, okay, this dude keeps trying to hit me. So I told both of them, I was like, watch what happens now that I know he wants to hit me. I took the puck and I did that backhand chip deke where I
Yeah.
put the puck on one side and I jumped around the other side, and then I hit the brakes, toe dragged the one guy, and fed Matt, and he just put one in the tippy top corner. And Wes is just like, he doesn't even really get excited. He's just, Andy, dude, ew, why?
That was the excitement.
Yeah. The excitement was the disgust. That's what that's what it was. But yeah, I mean, look, what are we playing has kind of, been the normal deal. You know, what I mean, we've been playing Shell. You know, what I mean, Andy's the one that probably has more stuff that's kind of on the up and up. You know, what I mean, with playing Miles Morales. So
Yeah, we're trying to coax Wes somewhere so he can finally give his Xbox opinion on what playing the PS5 is like.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
How the other half lives.
But yeah, man. So that's all we got today. Ant, you want to take us out?
Oh, of course I do. It's time to connect with CGC. You can check us out on our Twitter, which is @ConsoleCrew. You can check us out on our website, which is www.consolegamingcrew.com. It's also attached to our Gmail, which is consolegamingcrew@gmail.com. We also have a link finally up on our website that goes to our merch. Right, boys?
Yeah, boy.
Like a thing now?
No.
Wow.
We will by the time this comes out. So
Okay,
yeah,
then
I guess we can
okay.
say yes. I didn't put it up yet.
We do have a link attached to our website.
My merch came today, and
we got everything from mugs to shirts to sweatshirts to masks to fucking you name it.
Mask up
We
the
got
right
it.
way,
There you
people.
go.
Mask up CGC style.
yeah, yeah.
We also have our YouTube channel, which is Console Gaming Crew. We also have our Instagram, which is Console Gaming Crew as well, and we have our not Facebook, which is Console Gaming Crew. We finally got our affiliate sir named Wesley. His Twitch stream is Dragon_CGC. You have Andy, which is Scooby CGC, and you have myself, which is CGC_Squishy Soprano. And that's everywhere where you can find us and link up with us as well.
Our Facebook is officially on life support. It is and that breathing's getting shallow, my man.
Bro, that bitch is on DNR, so it don't matter.
Got a DNR on our Facebook. If it goes, it goes. Just let it rest peacefully.
Man.
That's it.
All right.
Don't bring back bad memories.
Thank y'all for jumping in. Thank everybody for listening. As always, stay safe. Wash your hands. Mask up. And game on.
Game on.
Come on.